The void of space was alight with fire and fury. Photon blasts streaking like deadly needles across the ink-black tapestry speckled with distant stars. The remnants of shattered vessels tumbled silently, their twisted hulls silhouetted against the faint glow of a dying nebula. At the very heart of this cosmic battlefield, Earth's orbit lay scarred and contested. A prize fought over by dozens of alien civilizations, each thirsting for dominance. On the bridge of the star cruiser, Resolve, Captain Ilavren's eyes burned with cold determination as alarms screamed and consoles blinked erratically. Her fingers danced across the controls with practiced precision, guiding the battered ship through a hailstorm of enemy fire. The enemy fleet was unlike any she'd ever faced. Sleek, bioengineered cruisers pulsing with organic veins of energy, vast crystalline dreadnoughts refracting deadly laser swarms, and AI-driven war machines that moved with terrifying, unyielding logic. These were the same species that, not long ago, had come together in the Galactic Assembly and voted unanimously to enslave Earth. They had declared humanity unfit to govern itself, a resource to be harvested, a mind to be broken and controlled. The Xylocs, with their shimmering tendrils and psionic domination. The crystalline Jalari, who could manipulate light itself. The insectoid Drachnids with their hive mind tactics. And even the Centauri Collective, a vast sentient network of artificial intelligences, all united in their ruthless decision. Their voices echoed across the stars in unison. Earth must fall. But now, as the battle raged, the coalition was fractured, desperate, pleading. Isla's comm unit crackled with frantic transmissions. The same coalition species that had once declared Earth's inevitable fall were now sending encrypted distress signals begging for ceasefire. Request immediate cessation of hostilities. Fleet integrity compromised beyond recovery. Negotiations imperative. The cold arrogance that had filled their speeches in the assembly was replaced by a raw, almost childlike desperation. The very beings who had called for humanity's enslavement were now on their knees. Imagine. What if this happened to you? To your home world, targeted by the galaxy's most powerful factions, voted to be subjugated and stripped of freedom, only to become the fulcrum upon which galactic fate pivots. Imagine turning the tide so thoroughly that your would-be masters beg for mercy instead of delivering judgment. That was the paradox of Earth's situation, and Captain Vren lived it every second. Before we jump into this epic tale, subscribe to HFY Nova Chronicles for the most intense sci-fi battles, legendary warriors, and universe-shaking wars. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and join the fight. This was not a tale of raw firepower alone, though the weapons on display would rival the most brutal legends of space warfare. It was a story of evolution, of ingenuity, of humanity's quiet revolution in the shadow of annihilation. 2 decades ago, Earth's fate was sealed in a chilling assembly where every alien voice, sometimes millions of years old, had spoken against them. The Galactic Assembly, a sprawling council of thousands of species, had decreed Earth a prize to be parceled out to the highest bidders in power and cruelty. They saw humanity as a wild variable, dangerous and unstable, but ripe for exploitation. The strategic value of Earth's position near multiple warp gates, its rich mineral deposits, and most importantly, its fiercely adaptive inhabitants made it a coveted prize. But the humans fought back with something the galaxy hadn't anticipated: the Nexus Link. This neural interface wasn't just technology, it was a leap in cognitive evolution. By melding quantum processors with human brains, the Nexus Link unlocked dormant neural pathways and accelerated synaptic response times to near instantaneous speeds. Entire fleets of enemy vessels found themselves outmaneuvered by human commanders, thinking 10 steps ahead, coordinating battles across vast distances in real time through a psychic network enabled by this interface. The link also hacked enemy AI, turning sophisticated war machines into liabilities by feeding them false commands and triggering catastrophic system failures. Against the calculated precision of the alien armadas, human unpredictability became their deadliest weapon. Ayla recalled the first time they deployed the Nexus Link in combat. The battle had been near the moons of Mars, where a Xylocs cruiser commanded by a legendary psionic warlord was laying waste to Earth's orbital defenses. The humans' small fleet was outmatched, outgunned, and close to collapse. But when the link was activated, the battlefield shifted. Waves of interference scrambled the Xylox's telepathic coordination, while human pilots, linked mentally through the network, struck with surgical precision. The warlord's ship was disabled before it could utter a command, and with it, the enemy fleet faltered, their cohesion broken. That day marked the beginning of a new era. The very technology designed to enslave humanity was now the means of their salvation. As the battle around Earth's orbit intensified, more factions began to question their alliances. The coalition's unity, once rock-solid, was cracking under the strain of successive defeats. Old rivalries flared up, distrust spread like wildfire. The Centauri Collective's cold logic conflicted with the Drathnid Hive's primal instincts. The crystalline Jalari withdrew, reconsidering the wisdom of their brutal campaign. Amidst the chaos, Earth did not merely survive. It became a rallying point, a symbol of resistance for oppressed species across the galaxy. Captain Vren watched, intercepted transmissions from enslaved worlds. Messages of hope and rebellion sparked by Earth's defiance. Allies emerged in the unlikeliest of places. Factions disillusioned with the coalition's tyranny, sending covert aid, smuggling weapons, and intelligence. Yet this victory came at a cost. The Nexus link required a neural strain that only the most disciplined humans could bear. Many were lost to mental overloads and cognitive fragmentation. The battle scars ran deep, both in body and mind. But it was a sacrifice humanity accepted, without hesitation, because surrender was never an option. And now, with the coalition fleet in ruins, their leaders crawling back to Earth with trembling appeals for mercy, the question burned hotter than ever. What would Earth do with its newfound power? Would humanity become the galaxy's next oppressor? Or would they forge a new path, one that respected freedom, justice, and the hard-won lessons of survival? Captain Vren's gaze hardened. Mercy was a currency few in the galaxy understood, and none expected from Earth's defenders. But now, the tide had turned. The very species that voted for Earth's chains were offering their own, begging for clemency. This was no longer a fight for survival alone. It was a test of humanity's soul. The battle had shifted from a desperate defense into a tense negotiation suspended on the razor's edge of war. Captain Isla Vren stood on the bridge of the Resolve, her eyes scanning the starfield, where once a vast coalition armada had threatened Earth's very existence. Now, fractured fragments of that fleet limped toward her ship, signals flickering erratically as their commanders sought parley rather than annihilation. The once united front of conquering empires was unraveling, splintered by defeat, distrust, and a dawning realization that the humans they had underestimated were unlike any adversary they had faced. The corridors of power in Earth's command center thrummed with urgent activity as diplomats, strategists, and scientists gathered to decipher the unprecedented situation. Alien envoys, some robotic, some grotesquely organic, others radiant with bioluminescent skin, were being held in carefully guarded quarters, their survival contingent on Earth's willingness to entertain their pleas. The very concept of an enslaved species offering sanctuary to former enemies was unheard of in galactic history. Yet, beneath the diplomatic chaos lay a deeper, far more complex puzzle. Why had this coalition, forged in unified greed and ambition, collapsed so catastrophically? What did Earth possess that could dismantle ancient empires and shatter centuries of galactic hierarchy? The answer lay in the confluence of technology, biology, and something uniquely human: the unyielding spirit to survive, adapt, and evolve. At the core of this revolution was the Nexus link, but not as a mere tool of war. It was a bridge, an interface between mind and machine, between individual and collective consciousness. Developed in secret by Earth's brightest minds, the Nexus link was initially conceived as a neural augmentation for soldiers and commanders. But as its potential unfurled, it became clear it was far more: a key to transcending biological limits, a cognitive superstructure enabling humans to coordinate in real time on scales previously unimaginable. This technology fundamentally altered the nature of warfare. Battles were no longer fought merely in physical space, but across layers of information and consciousness. Enemy ships, once thought impregnable with their armored hulls and particle shields, were rendered vulnerable to attacks launched through the digital and psychic domains. The Centauri Collective's hive mind, long considered unbeatable in logic-driven conflict, found itself ensnared in paradoxical loops engineered by human operators. The crystalline Jalari's ability to refract and manipulate light faltered against quantum disruptors tuned by Nexus-enhanced brains. Even the Drathnid's relentless swarm tactics were countered by predictive algorithms fed by human intuition sharpened beyond ordinary limits. Imagine a battlefield where every move, every attack, every defense is anticipated and countered not just by machines but by a living, breathing network of minds, where strategy is fluid, evolving at the speed of thought, and where victory depends not only on firepower but on the harmony between human consciousness and technology. The moral implications weighed heavily on Captain Vren. The Nexus link demanded a price, a neurological strain that risked fracturing the minds of its users, driving some into madness or permanent cognitive impairment. The human pilots who wielded this technology bore scars invisible to the eye, psychic echoes, memory fragments twisted by quantum data streams, and the ever-present risk of losing themselves to the network. Yet their sacrifice was a testament to humanity's resilience. It raised profound questions. Was this evolution a step toward liberation, or a descent into a new form of bondage, where minds were tethered to machines, free in battle but captive in consciousness? While Earth grappled with these dilemmas, the galactic political landscape was fracturing under the strain of defeat and shifting alliances. The Coalition's breakdown was more than a military collapse. It was a rupture in the cosmic order. Centuries-old treaties dissolved as factions scrambled to protect their interests, and the vacuum left by their retreat invited opportunists and rebels alike. Smugglers, mercenaries, and freedom fighters surged from the shadows, weaving a complex web of new alliances that threatened to destabilize entire star systems. In this maelstrom, Earth emerged as a reluctant arbiter. Its ascendants challenged the old imperial paradigms, forcing other species to reconsider their notions of power, freedom, and coexistence. Some envoys spoke of a new council, a federation led by Earth's example of unity and resistance. Others warned that humanity's unpredictability and aggressive adaptation could spawn a new form of imperialism, more insidious and overwhelming than anything before. Within the corridors of the Resolve, Captain Vren grappled with the weight of history and future alike. The surrendering emissaries arrived one by one, each bearing the marks of desperation and calculation. Some were willing to bargain for survival. Others hid veiled threats of rebellion and sabotage. Each negotiation was a delicate dance, fraught with tension and the ever-present danger of betrayal. Yet amid the tactical discussions, something unexpected emerged. A flicker of understanding, a glimmer of shared survival instinct. The harsh realities of war had stripped away centuries of prejudice and hatred, revealing the fragile threads of common existence. Captain Vren found herself wondering, could Earth, once the target of universal condemnation, become the crucible where diverse species forged a new alliance, not of domination, but of coexistence? As the Resolve prepared to receive the Coalition's delegates, the starry expanse outside remained silent, yet watchful. The stakes had shifted. This was no longer just a war for survival, but a test of humanity's capacity for mercy, justice, and leadership in a galaxy on the brink of transformation. The conference chamber aboard the Resolve was a vast dome of transparent alloy, suspended in zero gravity, offering an unobstructed view of the swirling cosmos beyond. Alien delegates filled the space, some towering, others ethereal, a few indistinguishable from shifting patterns of light. Captain Ayla Vren stood at the forefront, her posture rigid but her mind alert, as the fragile council convened. It was a spectacle unlike any other, a gathering not of conquerors and the conquered, but of supplicants and the once subjugated, locked in a tenuous dance of diplomacy that could reshape the galaxy's future. The room hummed with a strange mixture of tension and hope. Years of conflict, betrayal, and bloodshed were etched in every line, every gesture. The Coalition species had come with heavy demands, reparations, technological secrets, restrictions on human expansion. But what Earth's leaders offered, in return, was far more radical, a chance for peace through mutual respect, a federation bound not by fear, but by shared survival and cooperation. This audacious proposal rattled some delegates. Others, wearied by endless war, dared to believe. Behind the scenes, Captain Vren's thoughts roamed deeper. The Nexus Link, while humanity's greatest weapon, was also their greatest vulnerability. The neural interface not only connected human minds, it interfaced with alien technology and psionic fields, creating an unprecedented cognitive network. Yet this interconnection raised profound ethical questions. How much of one's identity could be preserved when minds melded with machines? And other species? Were humans, in their quest for power, risking the very essence of what made them human? Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the repercussions of Earth's victory rippled unpredictably. The fracturing coalition had triggered a cascade of rebellions and realignments on countless worlds. In the distant sectors where the Xylox once held sway, insurgent groups inspired by Earth's defiance seized control, toppling tyrannical regimes. The crystalline Gelari retreated to their homeworld, beginning an introspective era of scientific and cultural renaissance rather than conquest. Even the Drathnid swarms fractured into warring clans, questioning the ancient hive doctrines that had driven them to war. But not all was peaceful. The vacuum left by the Coalition's retreat had drawn predators. Mercenary syndicates, rogue AI factions, and warlords with their own dark ambitions sought to exploit the chaos. Smuggling routes that once fed the war machine now fueled shadow, economies of rebellion and espionage. Captain Vren was acutely aware that the war for Earth's freedom was only the opening act in a larger, more intricate struggle for control over the galaxy's destiny. On the Resolve, tensions flared as Earth's negotiators wrestled with these realities. The Coalition's representatives, though humbled, remained dangerous. Their pleas for mercy often masked veiled threats, a flicker of hostility in their bioluminescent eyes, a cold calculation in their synthetic voices. Trust was scarce, and every word was weighed for hidden meanings. In private moments, Vren found herself haunted by visions, fragments of memory from pilots lost to the Nexus Link's strain, their minds shattered between realities. She saw the thin line humanity walked, the nexus between evolution and annihilation, between salvation and domination. The interface that united their minds in battle might one day enslave them all. Yet, amid the shadows, hope persisted. Earth's scientists worked tirelessly to refine the Nexus Link, seeking ways to alleviate its burdens and extend its reach. Not to dominate, but to connect, to understand. Diplomats forged fragile bonds with alien allies, envisioning a coalition not built on conquest, but collaboration. Stories spread across star systems of humans who saved entire colonies from extinction, who brokered peace between warring factions, who dared to dream of a galaxy united by empathy rather than fear. As negotiations unfolded, Captain Vren remained vigilant. The scars of war ran deep, and old animosities could ignite at any moment. But for the first time in centuries, the possibility of a future without chains, without slavery, felt real. Outside the chamber, stars shimmered silently, indifferent, yet bearing witness. The galaxy was watching Earth, not as a weak world, to be crushed, but as a rising force capable of rewriting the rules of existence itself. The tenuous peace forged in the shimmering conference chamber was shattered by an unexpected ripple, a sudden coordinated strike from a rogue faction that refused to accept the new order. Their fleet emerged like shadows from the cosmic veil, sleek and silent, deploying advanced stealth technology that rendered their ships almost invisible against the starry expanse. The assault tore through Earth's outer defenses with brutal efficiency, catching the defenders off guard just as the galaxy held its breath for a fragile dawn. Captain Isla Vren, aboard the Resolve, was thrust once again into the eye of the storm, where the line between survival and annihilation blurred with every pulse of enemy fire. The attackers were known as the Varketh, a mysterious species, rumored to have been exiled from the Coalition long ago for their fanaticism and obsession with absolute control. Their ships, bioengineered to meld organic and mechanical systems seamlessly, were equipped with experimental weaponry that manipulated gravitational fields, warping space-time to create localized black holes that swallowed entire squadrons whole. This technology was unlike anything Earth had encountered before, a terrifying blend of science and sorcery that defied comprehension. As the Resolve's shields flickered under relentless bombardment, Ayla ordered her pilots to engage the Nexus. Link fully. A desperate gamble to synchronize their minds in a way that transcended mere tactics. In an instant, the ship became a hive of collective consciousness, every action choreographed with uncanny precision, every threat anticipated before it materialized. The Resolve dodged the gravitational rifts with impossible agility, returning fire with quantum disruptor cannons that tore through the Varketh's chitinous armor like paper. The battle was a high-stakes dance across the void, a symphony of destruction and survival played at speeds beyond normal perception. Yet, even as victory seemed within reach, the cost became evident. The Link's neural feedback hammered at the minds of its users. Pilots convulsed with psychic overloads, their consciousnesses flickering on the edge of oblivion. Medical teams prepared to receive those shattered by the Link's toll, their faces grim as they fought to pull minds back from the abyss. Captain Vren herself felt the subtle pulse of exhaustion creeping into her thoughts, a weight that no physical shield could deflect. Amid the chaos, a deeper truth emerged. This battle was not merely about territory or power. It was a crucible, testing the very limits of human endurance and morality. The Varketh's fanaticism embodied a galaxy-old fear. That in the pursuit of survival and dominance, species might forsake their humanity, becoming monstrous reflections of the tyranny they once opposed. As the dust of battle settled, Earth's forces emerged battered but unbroken. The Resolve drifted among the wreckage of the Varketh fleet, its hull scarred but its spirit unyielding. Captain Vren's mind lingered on the faces of those lost, each a testament to the perilous path humanity had chosen. She understood that this victory, like all before, came with a price that could not be measured in credits or star systems, but in the fragile threads of identity and conscience. The aftermath rippled beyond the battlefield. News of the Varketh's attack reignited tensions across the fractured coalition, pushing some factions to the brink of collapse, while galvanizing others to unite behind Earth's leadership. The fragile federation proposed in the conference chamber now faced its first true test. Not just a diplomatic ideal, but a living, breathing struggle against darkness both within and without. Earth's scientists accelerated efforts to evolve. The Nexus Link, seeking breakthroughs to ease its mental burden and expand its capabilities. Neuroengineers experimented with biofeedback loops, quantum entanglement protocols, and even synthetic consciousness subroutines to create a more symbiotic relationship between human minds and machines. The goal was not domination, but transcendence, a new stage of evolution where technology enhanced, rather than enslaved, the individual. Philosophers and ethicists emerged from Earth's academies, debating the implications of this transformation. What did it mean to be human, in an age where consciousness could be shared, split, and extended across machines and alien minds? Could empathy survive the fusion of so many disparate beings into a single cognitive web? The answers were not simple, and the debates raged fiercely, echoing through Earth's cultural and scientific communities. Captain Vren often retreated to the observation deck, staring out at the endless stars, contemplating the galaxy's fragile future. The species that once voted to enslave Earth now begged for mercy. But mercy was not a gift. It was a choice. And with power came responsibility. Would humanity become the merciless conquerors their enemies feared? Or the guardians of a new era born from the crucible of war and survival? The galaxy waited, breath held in silent anticipation. The calm after the storm was deceptive. A fragile veil stretched thin across a galaxy on the edge of transformation. The remnants of the Varketh had been shattered, their fanatical drive broken, but the echo of their assault lingered like a wound refusing to heal. Captain Ayla Vren stood alone on the bridge of the Resolve, the vast starfield outside a swirling tapestry of cosmic dust and distant suns. The silence was profound, yet beneath it pulsed a quiet storm of questions, fears, and hopes that no weapon or negotiation could fully quell. The once unanimous vote among the galactic species to enslave Earth had unraveled into a desperate chorus of pleas for mercy. Empires that had thrived on subjugation now sought refuge at humanity's doorstep, a testament to the unexpected rise of a species forged in adversity and bound by an unbreakable will. But mercy, Ayla understood, was not an obligation. It was a profound choice that would define humanity's legacy in the stars. The Nexus Link, humanity's crowning achievement and gravest peril, remained both a beacon and a burden. Its neural mesh now extended beyond soldiers and commanders, reaching into civilian sectors, medical fields, even exploratory missions. This collective consciousness became a new frontier, offering unparalleled cooperation and understanding, yet threatening the dissolution of individuality. The melding of minds birthed new senses of empathy, but also sparked fears of loss, of becoming a hive rather than a harmony. Throughout Earth and the allied systems, philosophical debates flourished. Could a species maintain its soul when its consciousness intertwined with alien minds and artificial intelligence? Was humanity on the precipice of a new evolution, or teetering towards an existence where identity was diluted beyond recognition? These questions were not merely academic. They influenced policy, military strategy, and cultural identity across planets. Meanwhile, galactic politics remained volatile. Some factions embraced Earth's vision of federation, eager to rebuild from the ashes of conquest and fear. Others lurked in shadows, wary of a new imperialism cloaked in unity and mercy. The galaxy was at a crossroads, and every decision echoed through the fabric of space and time. In the quiet moments, Isla reflected on the faces of those who had fought beside her. Pilots whose minds had been pushed to the brink by the Nexus Link, diplomats who had brokered peace with trembling hands, scientists who risked everything to unlock the mysteries of consciousness and connection. Their sacrifices were woven into the very essence of this fragile peace. As Earth extended its hand to former enemies, it also embraced a responsibility heavier than any starship's hull. The responsibility to lead without domination, to inspire without coercion, and to protect a future where freedom was not just the absence of chains, but the presence of hope. The final transmission from the Coalition's last holdouts crackled through the Resolve's comms. A plea for asylum, a request for guidance, and a promise to change. It was a moment heavy with the weight of centuries, a symbol of humanity's ascendancy not just as warriors, but as shepherds of a new cosmic order. Outside, stars gleamed with quiet promise. The galaxy was watching Earth, no longer as a pawn to be enslaved, but as a beacon of resilience and transformation. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with peril and possibility alike. But humanity had proven one immutable truth. Even when every species voted to enslave, the spirit of Earth could rise and rewrite the fate of all. The cosmos awaited the next chapter. If you enjoyed this journey through galactic conflict, sacrifice, and the dawn of a new era, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Your thoughts and theories fuel these stories and keep the universe alive. Thank you for watching HFY Nova Chronicles. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars.